It's great to see so many of you here to share our sense of reflections on COP15, but also to see how we move forward on the agenda. So I'd like to begin by thanking the panelists and indeed you, the audience, for joining us today. And I'd like to acknowledge and thank the organisers. The UN Non-Governmental Liaison Service, Eliza Peter and their staff have worked very hard in organising this event. The Dag Hammarskjöld Foundation and its representative in New York, Magnus Lennartsson, and indeed my own colleagues in Realising Rights, the Ethical Globalisation Initiative led by Heather Grady. Please note that each of the organisations have in fact got publications available to my right on the theme of climate justice. And I should also mention that this event is being filmed and will be available online in about a week. There were a significant number of people who would have liked to have joined us, so we hope that making it available online will enhance the awareness of what we discuss here today and how we frame the issues going forward. We actually decided to hold this event in early December when we realised that COP15 in Copenhagen was likely to make less progress than was hoped, meaning that 2010, this year, would become a critically important year to make faster progress on climate change. Some of us making remarks today were at Copenhagen and experienced firsthand what I would call the ups and the downs and the starts and the stops of that extraordinary COP15 process. We know that many organisations and the staff of missions in New York follow the climate change issue closely and contribute to the UN General Assembly contributed to the UN General Assembly high-level event on climate change here and its side events in September. Today is an opportunity to share perspectives on the outcome of COP15 and to identify elements that will enable more progress in 2010. We invited speakers from a range of governments who played important roles in Copenhagen and from two organisations that were at the centre of civil society activities, both before, at and subsequent to COP15. We hope that today's event can do three things. Firstly, bring a greater understanding of the implications of the Copenhagen Accord. Two, highlight emerging opportunities, approaches and strategies for achieving greater success at COP16 that begins in Mexico City at the end of November this year. And three, ensure that the issue of climate change is given sufficient attention in wider debates on development, including leading up to the Development Summit here in September on the Millennium Development Goals. The organisers decided that it was important to frame today's event, and we chose the frame of climate justice. I must say, like many of you, I feel, I was very encouraged when we were present in Copenhagen to hear the idea of climate justice being talked about on the street, in the halls, in the official event itself. This is a concept that I believe can capture many of the elements that we would like to see advanced. And the elements that are usually included in a climate justice approach are set out in the background note, which was available to all of you. We believe that the concepts of equity and common but differentiated responsibilities contained within the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change are a good starting point. Climate justice begins with the acknowledgement that because the world's richest countries have contributed most to the problem, they have a greater obligation to take action and to do so more quickly. It requires analysis and action that builds on the differential impacts on specific groups, including women and indigenous peoples. Climate justice reinforces the need for governments and others to act in an accountable and transparent manner that respects the human rights and dignity of all people. It reinforces the importance of identifying and giving attention to the perspectives and voices of those who are most vulnerable and whose voices are not sufficiently heard. And a climate justice approach underscores the importance of multilateralism and all nations being involved in the negotiating process and outcomes, giving a particularly strong voice to those countries who will suffer most.